All right. We did it. Y'all know so we love tech, but every once in a while we're learning something new about StreamYard. So we are Barbara and Guadalupe, your second act women. I am 53.11.
And change, probably, right? Yeah. And I'm 47.
Welcome to the Morning Cup. We do this every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. This show is really to empower, or as we like to say, power you up, provide tips, trends, and information, and also hear from women just like you that are out there doing big things or thinking about doing big things and the like. So today we have so excited to bring on Liz Oertle. This is a woman who's constantly in transition, and she's gone from being a lawyer to an editor of a publication to now being a SaaS owner that is just doing big things. And she had a 300-person with Arazu panel here at Denver Startup Week. So we're going to hear from her about her going through all of that and now being in the tech space and continuing on her trajectory to doing big things as a woman over 40 and 50. We're then going to be talking with Heather Hope with the House of Color, our insider House of, yes, and Liz is actually the insider too because they partnered with us by doing their on-demand babysitting. But yes, Heather Hope, and it turns out those two know each other. So it's a small world, but on to the show. So we are, going to talk about today's hot topic. And fall arrives next Wednesday.
Okay, I gotta say, I'm digging the jacket and I'm ready for my boots and jeans.
So I love fall. It's my favorite season outside of the holidays, if you want to call that a season. You know what I mean? I am so excited, and I am a nerd, so I create
shocker, right?
Shocker. I am going to give you guys, before we talk with those two ladies, we're going to talk about getting ready for fall. And getting those boots ready to go, those scarves, and things you can do on your live life list. So I don't use the word bucket list.
You know what? When you
the hell wants to think about dying as you're doing fun things?
When you mentioned that to me, I was like, totally makes sense.
Who? No.
Yeah.
So I call it a live life list. I don't know if you can see that, people. Anywho, I create one for the month, but I think I'm going to go to a seasonal list because there's so many things that I want to do, especially if you read my blog, I'm trying to do a lot more outdoors.
Major props. Yes.
I'm trying to live my own life as well. And so here's the deal. Okay, here's a couple of things, and I want you to get your little, notebook out or something, and schedule these things to do. Here are some really fun things that you can do if you decide you want to create your own fall live life list. Okay, right. So you can decorate your home for fall, which I'm going to give you a little peek at what I did because
I was going to say, I went to her house this weekend and it's all decked out with pumpkins.
It's decked out, you guys. So
I feel like I'm walking into fall.
I know. There it is. There's my fall. It turns out I love pumpkins. I didn't realize I was a big fan of pumpkins.
And elephants.
And elephants. Seasonal, and elephants, not for that other reason. Elephants for strength. But also, okay, oh shoot, we missed it. Yesterday was guacamole day, by the way. We always like to also bring up some hot dates. Damn it. But you can light some fall candles. Why not pick a haunted place to go? Now, I don't like haunted houses, but I enjoyed my time at the Stanley Hotel. So maybe perhaps because it is about fall, you can pick something that's intriguing that you can do. Yeah. I don't know, some space, whether it's a haunted house
trails
there's
trails, especially as the leaves start to turn. I mean, there's so many ways.
Leaf peeping. Leaf peeping is on here. I mean, how many times do some of you say you're going to do it and you don't? And I know a lot of you probably do. I say I'm going to do it every year and I don't. Do you do it?
Well,
with your family?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I do. I love going outside for fall, just because I love the light bundle. Like you don't have to necessarily throw on all of the big coats. So
that is her. That's her. I'm trying.
I'm gonna drag her along this time with me, not knowing.
Right. Okay, so a few other things that you could do is you could go apple picking. Okay, you could go old school. You could go apple picking, and that is a safe thing to do in today's environment. Okay, There is tuning into the Emmys. If you're a TV watcher, you can tune into the Emmys coming up, I think, with Jimmy Kimmel at the end of this month. You can refresh your coffee table with some decor items, some new books. Pick a new cookbook for the fall that is on a hot list.
That would actually be really fun. Try out some new recipes.
Yeah, and literally do it. So don't just get the book. Okay,
speaking of to my man, though. He's the one. I'll buy him a fall cookbook. How's that?
I should have known. Here's your cookbook, Walter.
Cook for me. I love you.
You can find a new pumpkin spice drink. So not just coffee, but perhaps create something new. You know, our girl Kendra at Bar Helix probably has some really great recipes for cocktails.
For one and post it.
And mocktails, in case you're not a drinker. Okay, so just a couple more things is you could do a backyard movie. It's crisp in the air. You could bring blankets out and rent a projector. If you have one of those fancy phones, you could just put a sheet on the. You are the perfect backyard for.
All right, everyone is invited to my backyard.
All right, we're going. She has the perfect backyard. So those are just a few things that you could do. One of the things that I haven't done, one last one, is visit a pumpkin patch. When was the last time you visited a pumpkin patch?
Last year?
Ah, damn it.
Damn, what girl? Okay.
Okay. Well, there is one for your list.
It sounds like I've got my life list with her for fall to make sure we get her out my leaf peeping and to the pumpkin patch.
And a nature hike and all of that. Okay, so fall, again, is my favorite. And it's next Wednesday, the 23rd. So get ready to celebrate. Also on the 29th, one more thing to add if you're a coffee drinker. I do in the morning just to get me hyped, but I'm a tea drinker. But coffee day is on the 29th. So is your seasonal fall live life, not bucket list.
And if you all have some ideas, definitely post it in and share what you guys do during fall so that maybe we could even inspire each other with some additional ideas.
We would love that. All right. So, we're a little early, but I love this because Liz has a lot to share with us today. We met Liz through Biz LifeCon, through Share. It's a long story. Anywho, we met her last year. And pardon the dogs, I'm babysitting my dog's best friend, and they're playing. It's the cutest thing, but yeah. So Liz with Nanno. So Nanno is a service as a technology, and I forgot what the S stands for, and I know Liz will straighten us out, but she's a SaaS company. But as I said, this is a woman who's ever changing, and she just gave a really wonderful, as I said earlier, presentation. Actually, it was more of a Q&A with Arazu and representing us women over 40 and 50. I mean, this woman has done a lot and still in her early 40s has a lot more going on. So we're going to bring on Liz and let's do a little talking. Hello, Liz.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys. In the corner. I thought you put yourself in the corner.
I'm still in the corner, but I made it less corner-like.
It's all about
the corner when I need
it. Well, Liz, okay, give us a little background give us a little spiel on who you are and how you came to be in the tech industry.
Okay, well, I'm a lifelong nerd, so that's part of the equation. I had my first computer when I was 9. This is actually a kind of an interesting thing for those of us in our 40s and 50s and over, is like we didn't get computers when we were babies, right? We didn't.
Right.
So I had it early. For me, I'm 43, and I had my first computer when I was 9, so that was, the early 80s. And it was, it was a big deal to have a computer. I've always been obsessed with it, but I didn't go into that as my career early on because of reasons. We can talk about that if you want. I've done a lot of other things. I've always been really literary, so I was in publishing. Then I went on to law school, and I was a lawyer. But I always loved business. Like my parents were both small business owners growing up, and I've always had a business mindset. And honestly, from a second act perspective, like this was the thing I always dreamed of doing, and just never felt like it was like something I could do. And it wasn't until, I was in my, was I 40? I think I was like just about to turn 40 when I met my co-founder. We're exactly the same age. Like our birthdays are a month apart.
Wow.
and we both had little kids, and we both were like, the world needs this technology thing. She's a Desi, you guys know Desi McAdam. She's a software developer. I was not a software developer at the time, and I'm still not. But we were together, like, we can do this. Like, I have some business stuff because I've been doing this lawyer thing for so long. And the thing I've always loved about being a lawyer was the business side, helping entrepreneurs and business owners do their thing. And so we were like, we could totally do this. I mean, we were wrong. I mean, not wrong. We were doing it, but we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. We kind of just dove into it, so passionate about it. But that's how we got where we are. We got
a little bit about what Nanno does, because you're one of the only or the most popular or something. You've got some kind of ratings up there that makes you very different compared to any competitors that are out there.
Yeah, well, we are really technology focused people. So SaaS stands for software as a service, as you were saying before.
Software as a service, thank you.
So it really is about using technology to solve problems, right? That's what all of this stuff is about. That's what we wanted to do. And our, people like Care.com and Sitter City and Urban Sitter are very old school technology. Like they are technology enabled, but they're only using sort of internet level technology. Here's a list of all the babysitters you could get, and you can write to them and see if they're available. And our product is really meant to really use the most current cutting edge Uber-like technology to say, we can get this message out to everyone, and you only interact with the people who are available. So we really are on demand. And that's been our focus from the start, especially for emergency backup care. It's really important to us that people can get a babysitter really quickly. And when you have to go slog through, a whole bunch of, millions of listings on care.com, that's just not feasible.
Why do you think it is, by the way, I read an article, and I think it was from one of your blogs. Why do you think it is? I think it was saying that women are approaching technology through problem solving.
Oh, yeah.
Versus, the male domination of tech doing the opposite, basically wanting to just make a quick dollar and have an exit strategy.
Well, I don't even know. Well, maybe that's true. So the we're referring to is there's an article, and I can't remember where it was, in the New York Times or whatever. We can put it in the notes of your thing if you want. About maybe it was a Medium post. Somebody had done a study interviewing founders of technology companies and trying to decide whether they were solving real world problems that needed to be solved, or just the latest little widget to do something that everyone was doing. I do think there's a mindset that female entrepreneurs have. And maybe it's a little bit of humility, like who am I to go, race in and do the same thing that everybody's already done? Like, everybody's on Zoom these days, right? But we all remember that there used to be Skype, and Skype basically did the exact same thing. And too bad for them, they apparently didn't have the chops to make it as successful. Right. But when
just
Zoom,
like MySpace, just like that, there was a people thing and then LinkedIn came in and swooped it up. AOL.
I don't know if it's about courage or about whatever ego, but for me, I just only get passionate about doing things that I think are actually going to make a meaningful impact. Like, I just can't get myself excited to go compete in a space that's already saturated. But what we do, and honestly, everyone who ever works with us, that this is the reason that they're so excited too. Like, there are very few problems in the world that have not yet already been solved by technology. And so we have such an exciting opportunity to be like, this is something that no one has solved. And I actually do think also female focused and family focused problems are really underserved because of other kinds of traditional biases, like what gets venture capital, what are people like excited? How can you get a VC dude excited about something that primarily affects moms? And so there's a lot of impediments to us. It makes it harder for sure, but it also makes it sort of this green field of all these opportunities. I look at my whole industry, there's so many more things to build for families. There's that would really have a huge impact instead of going and retreading ground that someone else has already done.
That's such a great point. And I love that it's a woman solving a woman's, or a family's issue that no one else has been able to really address the way that you have come up, through Nanno. So speaking of challenges, you talked about obviously VC funding. I mean, ageism kicks in technology in the tech space around 35 is what we're hearing from a lot of the women that, so it's even younger than the 40, break. Have you experienced any type of, ageism or like where you were not being incorporated or perhaps maybe not taken as serious as your male counterparts?
The only thing I think that, I mean, first of all, I've done 2 different startup accelerators, including 500 startups in San Francisco last year.
You won.
Yeah. What?
You
Yeah.
won, didn't you?
I won a thing. I mean, I do things all the time. I'm not here to brag about myself, but my point is I'm interacting with startup founders all the time. And a lot of them are over 40. I mean, most of them are men, but that's okay. I think the thing that we all as older professionals have to contend with, I feel for myself as an entrepreneur, is expectations. Like, you've done all these things, like, you know, there's a little more leeway given to a 25-year-old who just got out of college to kind of mess around and not know what they're doing. I don't think that's the case with me. Like, I even had one of my investors, Praful Shah, I don't know if you guys know him, but you should if you don't, because he invested in all kinds of female-founded companies in Denver. And he was like, you know, because of all you've done, you've got a lot of expectations of your ability to execute on this. Wow. And I'm happy to live up to that challenge. But I do think that a bigger sort of expectation burden is put on us, even if this is our brand new thing, right? Like, from a Second Act perspective, I've never done a startup before. I've done other things, and I believe that they inform me and make me better at what I do. But I've never done this particular thing. And I think it's just, we're coming from a different place. You know, I'm not, no, go ahead.
So do you think that expectation is put on by yourselves, or do you think that others, because you're coming in as a 40 plus entrepreneur, put it on you? Or is it a little bit of both?
I'm not saying that I think the expectations I put on myself are personal to me, and I've always put the same level of expectations on myself when I was 25 or 45. So I don't think that I feel like, oh, I better be able to do this. I always feel that. I've always felt that I should be able to do everything that I have not yet learned to do. But I do think, I don't know, I think that this is a thing also that it can be good if you think about this. Like, if you have done a lot of things and you have this wealth of experience, I think it's a good idea to kind of capitalize on that to the extent that you can. I mean, I know that a lot of people, especially in their second act, are trying to get out of what they've been doing for so long. But if there can be a thread of continuity between what you've done before and what you're doing next, then maybe you actually do have more experience and expertise to bring to the table in your next thing.
Yes.
And even if you don't have that, they're going to expect that you do.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like some of the second act women, though, some of them, yes, are looking to get out of doing what they have been doing in corporate America. But then there's another subset of those that want to do what they've been doing in corporate, but just want to be their own boss.
Yeah.
Just want to be on their own instead of having that thumb put on them and told every day what they need to do versus what they know they need to do to get the job done.
Yes.
So no, I think this is really, it's great. It's great to hear from someone so strong. And I think a lot of us actually put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So it's not just you. I think it might be even a female, generational thing. I want to take a different avenue and talk to you about the fact that you were married. You are a newly single with kids. You're married with kids, single with kid. You've got Nanno that you just started a couple of years ago with your partner, with your business partner. How are you managing it all?
It's insane.
It's still.
Wait, one more thing. Also during COVID, right? So that's been kind of exciting too. So my husband and I separated at the end of 2019, but we really only started, figuring out, we were doing the bird nesting thing for a while, which I believe in. The kids stayed in one house and we kind of came back and forth. So that was a good transition. And it was really just when we were about to start having like a split schedule that COVID hit. So we decided to do the bird nesting thing for longer because it was safer for the kids to stay in one place. And even though I was in and out and, we were doing the different things. So yeah, it's been crazy. I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. Here's really the way to really put this is, they say when you need something done, find the busiest person you know. I sometimes really think that the more things you pile on, the easier they all get to manage. Like if you're doing one thing and you add the second thing, then you have this huge context shift. But if you're doing a million things all the time, like you have to get yourself into the habit of multitasking and thinking a few steps ahead. Like, my mom owned a restaurant growing up. And so I had some experience as a line cook, and, the tickets come up in the window and it's I'm not only looking at the one that I'm working on right now, but I'm looking 6 tickets ahead to see if I can get started on something in the meantime. Like that, it's not multitasking. Everyone says your brain can't really multitask, but looking down the line and seeing all the different things and scheduling things and figuring out how to juggle a bunch of stuff. I think that once you're already juggling, like adding one more ball is not that big of a deal.
I'm just curious what your day looks like too. And we're kind of coming, I know this was a short interview. We're coming to a close here, but I don't know how you're doing it. And I say, good for you.
But I think that shows the power of women. Like women hear
you're right.
And like see me do
yes.
what so many would say, oh my gosh, this is a lot. But like we still do it. Like,
I will, watch me. That's exactly what you're doing, Liz. We've been throwing up your website. It's nanno.com. Ladies, if you do need on demand, because there are a lot of us that are 40 and 50 that have little ones like you. So if you need a sitter, do you have anything left to offer our ladies?
Yeah, well, we made a community just in preparation for today. We made a community link for the Second Act community. So if you go to nanno.com/invitations/second-act, that link, then you will automatically be part of this little group, and then you can just automatically have 20% off forever.
Wow, excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, I have one last kitsch question to ask you because it is Thursday and it's Throwback Thursday. I want to know, what was your favorite board game as a child? And we'll tell you ours. What was yours?
You're probably going to laugh. It was, you remember that game Life with the spinner and the mountain on there? And you it's like your two endings are probably going to either be a millionaire or a tycoon. Like either of those. If you got a tycoon, then you're like, oh, I only have a few million. That's not so good. Yeah, that was my favorite one growing up. But also,
that does not surprise me, Liz.
Yeah, I know.
The game of life.
I know. I'm pretty.
She's a tycoon.
But the other thing I also loved growing up, which was not a board game, is video games, like computer games. So like the early computer games. So,
me too. Pong. Oh, I go back further than you guys. Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man. I was the girl who was at the arcade playing pinball and all that. I was that girl. Well, my board game, before we move on, what's your favorite?
Mine was, so I liked yours, so I'm not going to ruin, but mine was Go Fish. That's not
a board game.
It is kind of like a card game.
That's a card game.
Well, okay, but you took
mine was Candyland. And I loved Candyland. And we would love to know, put it in chat what your favorite game board was. And listen, Liz, thank you so much. We can't wait to have you at Biz LifeCon leading a session someday. That is an invitation to you. We love what you do. We will always be there for you, sister. And I'm so happy we met. And I'll never forget when I met you. I thought you were like 28. You looked at me like, bitch, please.
Yeah, and I was like, Barbara is giving me the stink eye. I think she thinks I'm an imposter.
Awesome.
Oh, we love you, girl. Have a great day.
Super fun. Have a good day.
Bye.
Okay,
oh my gosh. Oh, I was giving her shit about Go Fish. Okay. Speaking of Throwback Thursday. Okay. I just have to give you these. Okay. Do you want to read some with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Start out with the first few.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Before you do that, let me start out. Only because it was my year that I graduated from high school. It was the year of 1985. Oh, girl, you were probably still. Okay, so here's what happened.
So Live Aid happened. If y'all remember, that was actually a really great compilation of artists. That was so much fun.
Yes.
New Coke was introduced.
Okay, then it only lasted 3 months because nobody liked the new Coke flavor. Does anybody remember that?
I'm like, that's because it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
And I almost feel like I only like my Coke with Jack. So
1985, no, I'm just checking. The other thing that happened, oh my God, the average income, y'all, was $22,000. The average rent, this is really, right?
Yeah.
This one's really going to blow your mind. $375 for an apartment.
Those were the days when you could actually afford.
Lord, same with the car. Don't talk to me about a car. I just found out my car engine's going to cost me $5,000, literally right before we got on the air. I am driving around in her F-150 right now because I was waiting to get my car fixed, and I just found out the bad news.
Right.
That is not fun. All right, and then the average house price. Oh,
40
my Lord.
grand. 40 grand. There you go.
Grand.
I can't even find. Yeah. Let's just leave it there.
Let's just leave it there. That's the cost of a new car.
I know. All right.
Oh, my Lord.
Well, I am super excited, as we are. We're both super excited to welcome our next guest, Miss Heather Hope. She is the CEO and founder of House of Color Denver, who is bringing some sass and class to your wardrobe.
Okay, I have to do a shout
Morning, ladies.
Steve Dyer. He was the Southwest Chamber president back when I was at Park Meadows Mall as the. So hey, Steve Dyer. Sorry, we're live on LinkedIn. I know it's great to see a male sometimes on it.
How you doing, Heather?
Hey, Heather.
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Great to see the work wives in action here.
And we do
Still cover up, and that's why we only get together because of our little pond.
Yeah, I make sure mine matches. I have a whole collection now.
Yes, and they do. So, girl, welcome to the show. I mean, remind me. I know you were like one or two, or either our first or a second insider.
I think there's your first or your second. Yes.
Right?
Big fan. Love the work you're doing. Just think it's amazing.
Thank you so much, girl. Like for the support from early on and really just getting behind, what we do and who we are. I mean, so let's jump into you. I mean, the whole point of this segment is for our audience to get to know Heather Hope. Heather Hope. So, okay, you're a pretty badass athlete. Like, clue me in on a little bit about what you got going on behind the scenes when you're not busy with everything else, that we
I'm
do.
busy momming a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. I'm 44, but I also do multi-sport. So I enjoy trail running. I've done 5 marathons. I've done a half Ironman. I'm a Colorado native, so I just love the outdoors and I enjoy biking and running more than swimming. I have to admit, the swimming is always a struggle for me with the multi-sport stuff. But
what was your favorite marathon? I mean,
New York City.
Which one?
Love New York City. I mean, just the vibe of that town and that race is incredible. And then Chicago, running past the men in drag, dressed as cheerleaders in Boys Town.
Oh
my gosh, that would be so
that
fun.
had to be a picture, like for sure.
Yes.
That would be pretty neat too. It makes the mile, when you hit that wall, well, like they say at like mile 22 or 20, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of pull through.
I don't run 26 miles on my own. I run it with my name across my chest and people screaming my name. And that's what you get in New York.
We wrote it with marker on our arms and on our legs. I've only done one. Only done one.
She's done one.
How do you the feet? And it's something something that can be done in any age. And I love that actually women excel in their 40s and 50s, and that's really when they hit their prime for these multi-sport events.
Right. So basically, Barb, you're going to be signing up for one here soon.
Sign up.
So that's fantastic. Congratulations. So on top of that, she's like, I'm going to just keep drinking my drink here. So on top of that, you also went from having a very distinguished and accomplished career as a communications, public relations, marketing professional to now saying, you know what, I'm going to help these, women and is it men too?
Yes.
Women and men bring bring their style to life through color. You became the founder of House of Color here in Denver. So tell us a little bit about that transition and what House of Color.
So it was a personal experience. I went and had my colors analyzed. I learned my style based off of my body architecture and my personality. And I felt like it was such an empowering experience that I wanted to figure out a way to do that as well. So my background is PR, communication, and marketing, mostly in the nonprofit sector. And I have this heart for serving others and giving back to others. And I find a great way to do that through the work with House of Color. So it's a franchise, and I brought it to Colorado, and I help my clients to be seen and heard and known and more confident and more visible through the clothing choices that they make, through the colors that they select. And it's just been a really fun thing to apply my marketing and PR background to helping build the franchise as well. And it's similar to what Liz said in the earlier segment, this idea of your second act bringing a thread through from that first act. So applying that skill set has been really valuable and really rewarding for me.
And also, I think it's really important, and I can't wait to announce, we'll announce here, because you probably know this person who's going to be at Biz LifeCon in the style world for us 40 and 50-year-olds. But what I like is that you put the two together. You put the color and styling with branding, because personal branding, and we co-hosted an event with you at SUNA, and back in January. Yeah, January.
It was like early.
And it was really great.
A decade ago, it feels like a decade ago.
It feels like a whole new era.
What's possible in that workshop is you are saying things before you even open your mouth. And you have a presence about you, and there's a huge power to that nonverbal communication. And so if you can get it right and feel confident in sending a message and elevating your personal brand, that's my jam. That's what I love clients do.
Right. And a lot of times people have to remember that your brand walks, just like you just said about your styling can walk into the room. It's also that your who you are can walk into the room before you. So when we're talking about personal branding, and tightening up, and that's a whole nother subject, but it's just really important what you do on top of what is your elevator pitch and all of that sort of thing. Absolutely. But I think it's also imperative, and tell me what you think of this, Heather, that we as women can dress any way we want. Like it's not like, we don't need to be wearing booty shorts, but
yes, being comfortable in your own skin becomes even more important as you age, and realizing and becoming just comfortable with your natural coloring, with your body architecture, with who you are on the inside and how that can be reflected on the outside. I love that we take women and build them up in a way that already is looking at the foundational work that they've already done and helps elevate that. Absolutely. Like, I think there are so many clients who come to me in their 40s and 50s and 60s who say, I'm just wanting to figure this out and I haven't figured it out yet. And now's the time. Like, it's never too late to figure it out.
Well, it was fantastic having you on our show. Thank you so much for being one of our earliest supporters. Girl, we will put all your website information in the stream, but you can learn more about her at houseofcolor.com. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much for believing in us too, Heather. We love you.
Absolutely.
All right, girl.
All right. Bye, sweet pea. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun, and we're just about
half hour flies
coming to an end. I know. So we're just going to tell you about a few things coming up, and then let you know who's coming on next week. So next Thursday, we host an affiliate marketing, earning money through affiliate marketing. It's only $10 for non-insiders. Go to SecondActWomen.com and register. We have Laren Storch with Leaders of Luxury who will be teaching this. She was also the general manager and co-founder, co-partner of Matthew Morris Salon, and she is a badass. She's going to teach us all how to make a little bit more money through affiliate marketing. Energize Colorado is reopening their grants, that $25 million gap fund that they have. Reopens, if you didn't get a chance to apply the first time, reopens again on Monday, the 10th, the 5th of October. And lastly, Biz LifeCon announcements are coming next Tuesday.
I'm excited.
One of them is Erin Busby, which we are so excited about. She is an influencer of over nearly 400,000 people subscribe to her YouTube channel. And she lives here in Colorado.
Yeah.
So that's what we have going on.
We have a great lineup, so definitely stay tuned for that. To follow that up, if you want to be featured on the Morning Cup, and not just that, only that, but also tap into our special insider platform that's chock full of amazing resources, tools, and support systems to help you in your second act. Please sign up before the end of the month to save $40. It's only $139 right now for the year, and you get some cool tchotchkes like our Ageless shirt and Simon Sinek book. So be sure to take advantage of that today. In addition to what's coming up next week, we will have Lisa Alici as our insider. In addition to Laren Storch, who Barb just plugged as far as coming on to our segment, she'll be joining us on the Morning Cup post her session. So thank you for joining us.
And thank you to Liz for joining us today. Yes. And have an amazing little Friday, and we will see you on socials and next Thursday morning. Bye everyone.